So welcome everyone. We're excited. This is our very first Lunch and Learn, and we hope to do many more of these to inspire each other and to learn something new. As you guys already know, we have a great Lunch and Learn with Julia lined up for today. But before we dive into that, the whole purpose of WILS-SCM is to drive change within the life science supply chain management community. And that's why we have established this group. It is to drive change in the industry, and we're doing that by supporting each other, connecting, help with leadership, and inspire each other. We also, this is kind of the core team. I'm Mary Yurkovic. I'm an industry consultant focused on digital transformation. And I am also the Chief Community Engagement Officer for BSMA. And if you are not aware of BSMA, you are missing out. We'll provide links after this webinar. This is our leadership team. I'm the co-chair with Miss Kristen Eckwall, and she can introduce herself because she is an industry force also.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Mary. My name is Kristen Eckwall. I am with CargoSense, and I head up our sales team. It's been a pleasure. Devendra has asked Mary and I to kind of start this group. We started the spring of this year, and we've had an amazing response, and we're really, really excited to see where this goes. Thank you for being here. And Julia, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And a warm, warm welcome to Julia. I had to say, an inspiration to me during our prep calls. I was always learning something new from Julia, and so excited that she is taking the time out of her busy schedule to chat with us today. Julia, welcome. Thank you again for your time. And I look forward to asking you questions and just the interactiveness of this. So if you could go ahead and introduce yourself, that would be awesome.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me here with you guys today. My name is Julia Tarasenko, I'm Chief Commercial and Strategy Officer here at LabConnect. And before that, and that's my kind of attachment to supply chain industry, I spent 16 years almost at Marken, which was a part of a UPS healthcare team by the time I was leaving. So I've done a lot of great things in clinical supply chain space and continue to do that as one of the leaders in Central Lab.
Great. We're going to go ahead and kind of dive right into some questions for you, Julia, because I can't wait to share with everyone your journey. And in thinking about your career journey, what inspired you to pursue this career in supply chain management?
It's a very profound question, because I actually ended up in this career totally by chance. I always say to the team, to my team and the team that I'm interviewing and hiring for all the time, I'm in a place I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be in this space. Talking about my career started very, very long time ago in academia. So my major is in Chinese. And I lived in and worked and studied in China, and I studied sinology, which is the Asian studies, since the age of 6. So I've been in this world, in academia world for, since I was very, very young, and reading for living most of my teenage years. And then I wanted a summer job, and I've never worked really, anywhere outside of academia. And Marken was the first interview I've ever had. And I knew actually nothing about supply chain. I was asked all this a very in-depth question during my interview, and I couldn't answer any of them, because my only attachment to supply chain was sending Christmas gifts back to my parents from Scotland. So that's all I knew. But yeah, but I had the language skills, and at that time, clinical trials were growing very rapidly in Europe and going into all new geographies where we had to really work with the local sites and local customs and local teams, really making sure that we can get the drug, clinical drug in and biological samples out of those the countries where the patient population was very important to clinical trials. It was naive patient population. So that's how I came into this industry. And I had to learn everything there is to know. And I've learned there is this whole clinical trial world. I didn't even know how the drug appeared on our shelves. And there I had to get the chance to work with amazing people, worked a lot with different central labs as Marken was growing in this space and more supporting more and more labs. And I learned everything there is to know. I spent 6 years with Marken in Scotland, based in Edinburgh, working for our local clients there. And then I was looking for a challenge. And my CEO at the time offered me to go to Japan and to take over our operation in Japan, which, again, it shouldn't work by any stretch, by all definitions. This should never have worked. And maybe many people thought it wouldn't work, but actually it worked out great. Just in the short year that I was there, I built an amazing team. My Japanese team arguably is still one of the strongest in the market network. We've quadrupled our local business. We've got all the financials in order, and we built a beautiful, beautiful facility in the center of Tokyo and another one in the Haneda airport. So again, by all definition, being a woman in a very male-dominated environment in a men's world, but that's actually worked in my favor, and we did some great things. So after that, based off the success, I was moved to Singapore to do pretty much the same, but at much larger scale, running Marken Asia Pacific operations. So everything that were coming in and leaving Asia. That market was growing at the time very fast, and is still, highly attractive. And, we worked through a lot of the really great opportunities. And Asia remains very important and a high growth area for Marken still. We were based on the success in Singapore. I was moved to New York, did the same in New York, and then we moved to Philadelphia and did the same in Philadelphia until I was asked to join the commercial organization. And this is an unusual move, but I think it's a very good move for people who come from operational background, try their feet in commercial organization. I personally thought it will never work. I said directly to my manager at the time, I'll do it because you have trusted me, but this will never work. And it's all going to be on you. And they said, okay, Julia, it doesn't work, but you should try. And I was very lucky to work with an incredible team. But over the just few short years, I was running multiple teams, commercial organizations within Marken, and ultimately I became head of all the commercial operation within Marken, UPS company at that time. So I was responsible for all sales and marketing and pricing and sustainability and innovation and all sorts of great things as we were taking Marken to become a $1 billion organization within UPS Healthcare. So my career was very half operation and half commercial, and I was lucky to have done well and working with some great team. And last year, I was offered this incredible opportunity to join Lab Connect, which was a long-standing client of mine, and it was just the time was right. And now I'm in the central lab.
Great. Julia, I have to say, I think that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. I think everybody's happy that you're there, and you're a pretty amazing woman. But as a leader in the industry, what have been the most significant barriers in your career?
I think you know, I think there are very typical ways, right, of answering this kind of questions, right? We have, you know, all sorts of challenges that we encounter, but I think the progress that you can make, the barriers are really is in your mind. I think anyone can be anything they decide to be if they really put their mind to it and just work hard. The barrier is all in your head. Is you saying, okay, like me, I'm operations, so I cannot do this, or I'm sales, you know, so I cannot do this. So it's really in your head. It's getting out of your head and just do things and fail. It's fine, and try to do it again. But you know, to your point earlier about the mentorship and leadership, I was very lucky, you know, and at some point, you know, people on this call, right, they will come to the decision, you got either choose the job or you choose the boss. I was very lucky that many times I was able to choose the boss who was just the best for my career, really inspired me to do things that even myself, I thought I wasn't able to do. So choose the boss at the right time, and then those barriers are really not going to be those the barriers that you think will prevent you from doing something.
So it's mostly the internal barrier that you're feeling?
Yes, it is, right? And from people even now, right? When people always come to me and said, "Oh, Julia, this is not possible." And I'm saying, well, very often it actually is possible. And that's what I'm more convinced more than ever, that all the barriers that you think you have, it's all internal, it's all in your head.
Yeah.
I think we all feel that.
Yeah. And as a leader, you know, you've led so many different teams in so many different countries. What is like one leadership lesson you've learned over your career in all these different scenarios?
I think what worked for me really, I mean, first of all, you have to, and you know, the few lessons on, and actually that was, it is a real case when I came to Japan on my first day, when I was talking to my boss at the time, and I said, okay, this is my first day, I'm in Tokyo, what would you like me to do? And his answer was, start looking for your successor. On my first day. So building that bench, building the team around you that can, you know, that can really make you stronger, but building that successor ladder is very important. And then about lifting people up, that's how you do it. Surround yourself by people who are better than you, who are more knowledgeable than you in their individual areas, and then get them to collaborate. Get them to disagree in a collaborative way, and then really grow and create some incredible things from that synergy. So I was very lucky to be able to surround myself always with people who know so much better and so much more than I do in many different areas, and build those incredible teams, and building the teams that everyone wants. Like in my previous role and even in my role now, everyone's saying, "Oh, Julia, can I take this person from your team, and can I take this person from my team?" Yes, of course. I look at my team is creating the team that will be the leader, the future leader of the company that I'm in. So that's kind of really important. And then another lesson is being very open and transparent with your team. If you're reading like a military leadership book, always there is the saying, privates know. People know. You can't be not transparent. You know, people will sense when you're not open with them. So for me, it always worked to be transparent with my team, even if it's good or bad. I mean, there is a way of saying things, of course. That doesn't mean that you should, you know, there is a way of saying things, but being transparent, understand what kind of pressures you're facing, and trust the team that they will understand that, relate to that, and help you to overcome those pressures, because again, we're all in this as a team.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thanks for that. One big topic that everybody is talking about, and I know that we've had this discussion in our kind of prep calls, is AI. So,
Yeah, sure.
and you had something wonderful that you said about AI, but I would love for you to share with everybody kind of your thoughts around AI and how you're using it and how you see others using it in the industry.
Yeah, and look, it is very much a buzzword right now, and people using it in all sorts of different ways, helpful ways, sometimes unhelpful ways. Everything is AI, but I think the way that to think really about AI is to understand how you can leverage it in the places where it really should be leveraged. There is no point of fighting it. It is already here. This isn't inevitable. It's not something that's coming and we gotta get used to it. It's already here. It's already changing our lives as we speak, and learning how to use it. This is really the key. I think the phrase I mentioned, and I heard this on Bloomberg actually. Someone from finance industry said it. I'm not worried about the AI taking my job, but I'm worried about the person who knows AI better than I taking my job. So that's, I think, the lesson. Be the person who knows about AI better than anyone else and how to use it really to your advantage. I mean, right now in Lab Connect, this is a hugely growth area. We began to really actually bring on board data scientists to create our own algorithm, to create our own questions that we want to use and interrogate our systems, interrogate our data, and receive those insights that were unthinkable for us to receive in the past. So I think again, it's here. Learn to use it. Read a lot as much as you can, and again, don't allow someone else who knows AI better than you take your job.
Yeah. Yep.
Deal. So, Julia, going from academia to life science, how did you navigate these power structures like early in your career versus later in your career?
I think not forgetting where kind of you come from the professional sense is very important. Sometimes when I see people struggle right now, being more junior in their career, I'm always reminded myself that these are the struggles I had. That's why sometimes I'm reminding my team that I was there. I've done this. I worked through this. I had the same struggle. And taking that feedback, probably the best thing I had ever done in like the worst times, or let's say more difficult times in my career, is taking the feedback from the leaders I trusted. And it's not always easy. It's not always easy to hear that something that you feel so passionate about it, you can be better, but you have to. And you want to seek that feedback as early as possible in your career, because there is no point for you wasting your time and going in the wrong direction, right? Because you don't want to hear something that perhaps you don't agree with. If you have a leader that you trust, or seek the leader that you trust who've done something very successful in the past, and allow that feedback to come in as early as possible. Again, it's not easy, but it's probably the best decision I have ever made. And even now, my team and people that knows me, they know that they can trust me very early to pivot them, to help them to pivot, to allow them to see something about themselves that they're not yet able to, and make that change early, because it really will accelerate your growth in your career and get you to where you want to be much faster.
Good advice.
Very good advice. So this group, as we all know, is about women in life science supply chain management. Great group, but it's not just strictly for women. We also want men to participate in it. But because this is the women group, we wanted to talk about women empowering women. And how do you personally advocate for other women in the workplace or in the industry?
Mm. I think, I mean, the important point here is that I think, and I'm, was very lucky to work with some of the very, very powerful women and that I learned from a lot, huge amount in my career. But I think it's the fairness here is to say that this is a merit-based environment. You just have to be better, gender unrelated, men or women. Just strive to be better in whatever it is that you do. And again, admittedly, again, me coming into supply chain where it was 100% male-dominated environment, it is true that women have to be 120% better than men, just fighting, let's say, for the same job or fighting for the same position. But that's not always a bad thing. It means it makes women better. It makes us more knowledgeable. Fighting harder for things we want doesn't disadvantage women. It makes them stronger. And then, of course, the more women are entering leadership position now every day, women remember what they had to go through to get to where they are, be better, to earn and get better position. This is what I tell women too. Don't ask for something because you're a woman. Ask for something because you're better. And try and get better and use that environment that perhaps works against you in some boardrooms. Use that environment to learn more, to challenge yourself more, be better, and then you will earn it. You'll just earn it, not gender related. So I think that's really important point, and I think most of the women, I can only assume, and speaking about myself specifically, I always remember that, and I always give this advice to women. And then, of course, support. I can see where women work very hard. And then, of course, from our side, we want more women, of course, in those boardrooms.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for that inspiration. I want to let everyone know, please feel free to ask questions in the chat. I don't want anyone to feel like Kristen and I are hogging Julia all to ourselves and asking her questions for inspiration. So in the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen, please feel free to ask questions. And while other questions are filtering in, Julia, how have you built confidence and/or resiliency over the course of your career?
It's a little bit like a muscle. Confidence is a muscle. The more, it's like public speaking, right? It's a muscle. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So again, continue to put yourself in the situations where you're challenged, because the more challenged you are, the more you build that muscle. Think fast, use your knowledge fast, connect the dots faster, right? All the information that we receive on a daily basis internally from our companies, from our team, but also externally from the news and environments that we're all reading. Becoming faster and utilizing that information is really going to be key. But again, don't hide and don't do something because you're not comfortable. Eric, the more uncomfortable you feel, do it and do it more until you might never love it, but you're going to get very, very comfortable and fluid and putting yourselves into those kind of situations.
Julia, what in your career, maybe to date, and there could be more obviously in the future, but what's been the most rewarding moment so far in your career? And why?
I mean, I have few, but probably what comes to mind immediately is when I was running Merck in New York, we were working on a very complex cell and gene, highly personalized, clinical trial. So what is now known as a CAR T products, those patient A to patient A therapies, right, where the cells coming out of patient A and the drug manufactured just specifically for that patient, and drug is infused back in the patient, and it was a pediatric trial. and it was for one of the cancers, one of the pediatric cancers. It was a heartbreaking trial. And again, when we talk about clinical trials, you're really working with people, especially in phase 3, that have no other options, right? People don't enter clinical trial because they want to. There is really no other option. So the pediatric trial was specifically very, very complex and very sensitive. So one Friday I was about to go home, and I got a call from our client saying, Julia, this is the situation. We have this 8-year-old girl in Spain, and she needs to have this treatment, or she's just not gonna make it. She's not gonna make it past next week. We're manufacturing it now. It has to go. We are keeping that child on the life support. The drug has to move. And it's Friday afternoon, and everyone is trying to go home and start their weekend, and we had to get a very capable team together. And essentially no expense spared, no one is sleeping, really hand carry, hand create this route for this drug to get across the ocean over the weekend, get it QP released in Europe, in one part of Europe, to move it physically into Spain somehow in the most fastest way, and get this drug to the site in Spain. And we did everything right. We moved things as fast as we could. And then for a couple of days, I didn't know anything. Obviously, there was patient privacy. I would have never known anyway anything about this patient. But it was very nice of my client to call me back within a week or so after the delivery and say, look, I just want to thank you and the team, because that girl made it. She's going to live. She was 8 years old, and we will never meet. I never actually know. It will never know who she is, and she will never know me. But taking that call, being that first person who took that call and get the team together to make this incredible delivery, to make sure this girl is alive, it's still like, that's why you come to work. Like that's why we do what we do. That's why we're in this space, is to do these incredible things, making these miracles happen.
Yeah, I know when you first told us in our prep call, you told us that story, and I got goosebumps then, and I got them again now.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you for sharing that story. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Leslie is the WILS-SCM marketing person, and she is fielding some questions. Leslie.
Yes, we have a question from Nevada. So Nevada said, Julia, you've indicated several times that luck has propelled you all through your career. What would you offer women who haven't experienced that good luck any different advice?
Who haven't not experienced the bad luck, or who have?
Who haven't experienced that good luck, any advice?
I think in a way, try and answer this question to yourself. What do I want to be when I grow up? Picture yourself, where is that you want to be in a couple of years, 3-4 years, and then think where you are now, and how do you build the path to that place where you want to be, whether it's in education, whether it's trying the job, or taking maybe even more junior role, or taking maybe a role that's not a promotion, to learn that skill that you need to learn to impress someone, to give you that opportunity. I mean, it is really a hard work, but there is a saying that people who work hard, very, very hard, sometimes somehow luckier than others, right? So there is a lot, but hard work plays the part. And then I think I see in the chat the note about how did you pick the bosses. You look at people who have done what you want to do, who have done what you want to do. They succeeded. Be by their side. Ask them to be the mentor and ask for that feedback. Be very direct and listen, I'm not going to be sensitive about it. Tell me where I need to get, what I need to do better. I tell you, in my past, I was asking the feedback so directly. That sometimes like I would be on the call and my boss would text me instantaneously saying, this is not the right thing to do. This is the right thing to do. Because don't wait until annual performance review to tell me I've done something wrong 6 months ago. I want it now because from tomorrow I want to do better. And I want to build on that. And I want to every day try and be better version of yourself. And have that mental plan. You know where you want to be and how you build from them with a better version of yourself every day. The biggest competition is actually with yourself. The competition is not with people around you, is with yourself.
That was
Yeah.
great. We have another question from Vivek. She said, fantastic perspective, Julia. In today's very dynamic times of ever-changing tariffs and country-level pressure, how has supply chain work changed for you and your teams, and what changes have you had to make to them? And then there's a second question that is, how is technology helping mitigate your work pressure for you?
I think it's a really nice question about the tariff, because I will always remember where I was in the world when the first tariffs on China was announced, because I was in China. So that's so imagine me, I'm arriving on Saturday or on Sunday, and I'm trying to have breakfast on Sunday morning, and then there is all over the news that US potentially announcing 100% tariff on China, and I'm like, great, I'm like in the middle of Shanghai, and everyone's looking at you, you're like, and I have like 8 meetings on Monday, planned in Shanghai, and I'm like, I now know what are we going to be talking about, in all of those meetings. So I was in China at the time, and I was asking the team, it was very international, about tariff. And actually they allowed me to see this perspective that I did not have. And they were very philosophical about it, saying, Julia, what's going on with tariff? It's almost like with COVID. We're going to be fine. It's those lessons that we've learned. We know how to understand the costs of doing business, because a lot of in supply chain, and I was in marketing during COVID time, we understand that everything is possible at the costs as well. But the international community is very much looking at this as COVID time. The lessons we learn, supply chains that we built at that time around the restrictions still could be changed, still could be adapted to what we have done right now. And that's why you see now in the news, there is actually very little trade disruption or real disruptions, because people, again, reverting back to that pandemic style of operation, and things are moving. But it's very interesting. And actually, when I was in China, the Chinese side, I with my colleagues in China, that's the same too. We just manage it like we would do with COVID. And then you mentioned about technology. I mean, that's again, there is a lot of technology now, and on the market. To be honest, and we battled a lot with that in the past, right? When we're talking about things like end-to-end visibility, right? A lot of people say they really have it, but really there are still a lot of blind spots. There are still a lot of gaps. I think I mentioned this before, and so when I was asked this in the past, but building a truly end-to-end visibility will require people across different organizations to really come together and decide, now competition or not, we're going to get things connected because we want to see them. We really want to see them end to end. So I think that's where I think the real transformation, and maybe AI will be that tool that can sit on top of all of the systems that are currently not talking to each other, and pull the right data to really truly give us that end-to-end visibility that we need in supply chain just to get through the day.
And then our next question is, Julia, you're quite busy. How do you manage your work/life balance?
I read somewhere that there is no such a thing as balance. because the balance it almost means that there is a half and half in your life, the balance is shifting, is really shifting. And, I love what I do, and my family loves that I love what I do. I think the balance, you can't you can't put that kind of additional pressure on yourself. You have to try and enjoy what you do. When you're at work, enjoy work. When you're with the family, be 100% there and enjoy the family. Because the minute you're conflicted and when you're at work, you're feeling bad about not being with the family, but when you're with the family, you're feeling bad for not working, that is a complete waste of like everyone's time, right? So be in the moment, and you can't decide it has to be 50-50. Some weeks will be 80% work and 20% family, and the next week will be the other way. And that's the balance. The balance is a constantly, moving target. And as long as you accept that, and don't put that additional pressure, or like I have to do it because that's what the balance is. That I think is really the key, right? Be really enjoy what you do in that moment.
Right. And then Linda says, amazing story, very inspirational. Not every career path is a straight line, and she wants to work for you. But she also wants to know what's next in your career path.
I think I think perhaps more international work. I think, I will maybe move a little bit more again. I've been now in the States for a really long time, and I have done a lot here, but I like being in Asia. Maybe move geographically a little bit more. I think from career perspective, I think obviously now being part of the lab, but I'm very much interested in gravitating towards the technology. And again, borrow someone else's, a very, very smart phrase is that in 20 to 30 years, all of us gonna work for technology company. It's all gonna be about the technology. So it's like, for example, in my case, it will be a technology company that does testing. It's like Uber, right? It's a technology company that does cars, right? It's a technology company that connects you to a hotel room. Every company will be technology company. And I think if people are really thinking about their future, think about how it will be tech. That's why, we have to start pivoting, and especially supply chain. Some of the things I've seen from, from a Silicon Valley company with the AI technology, with agentic AI, where AI can already make decisions for us in supply chain, how we're doing service recovery, how we can reroute distressed shipments. AI can go 80%. Human is in the loop, but you can build with the newer AI model. Again, that's why I'm so interested in this agentic AI side of things. You can allow AI to make simple decisions, and only those super critical or highly consequential decisions that have to come to human, which means, again, it allows us a lot more time for thinking, because more of the day-to-day work, it will be executed by the programs. So I think for me, that's the future, perhaps gravitating more towards the technology, understanding more the AI side of things.
Great. And our next question is, supply chain is still very male-dominated field. What advice would you give a woman starting her career in supply chain? And do you have coaches or mentors who can support?
Look, use being woman to your advantage. Again, like when I was in Japan, walking into the room and and that's like a true story. I would walk into the room, I would be the only woman in like another 40 men, right? You don't have to even say anything. You already stand out in the crowd, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Sure.
without doing that, just you showing up, you already different, right? But this is what I mean. Then it's about the substance, right? Then it's about being better and more knowledgeable. So use being that unique presence in the room to now have something to say that really captures everyone's attention, and really have that, that's what I mean, read a lot, really explore a lot. say something that no one ever thought about, and that gets you in the room, that gets you at the table, that gets you in the conversation. And that's all you need just to continue to impress with your knowledge. The same sometimes could be not only the woman, I could be sometimes the youngest person in the room as well. The same, right? Being the youngest is allowing you to ask stupid things, but stupid means, oh, we haven't thought about this before. So what makes you unique is your get out of jail card for saying things that no one ever thought about. And then it puts you in a very, very different category. So don't think about it as a limitation. Think about it as an opportunity. You already have everyone's attention. Now, what are you going to do with that? It's entirely up to you.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then what digital skills, especially in AI, do you think we need to upskill to thrive in this competitive environment?
I mean, first of all, and it's again speaking for me, how I learn and still, of course, learning and every day is, first of all, see what's out there, because AI is such a broad term, but what does actually we mean? So when I first started really getting and setting up like that's why, you know, when I joined Lab Connect, we set up, myself and our chief technical officer, we set up a technology council. We set up a technology council because I wanted to understand, when I'm saying we're going to institute something into our network, what is that? So we had to go really very, very basic, understand the capabilities, understand the models, different types of AI models, and then see examples, case studies. What does this actually can do? And the good thing is about those models is that it's so cross-functional. What works in e-commerce can be applied to supply chain. So the beauty of these is AI case studies, that it could be, it's not very individual to a single industry. It really can apply it across the board. And a lot of actually really good AI tools that we are now borrowing and adapting actually comes from military. It's also used in the military, especially in the supply chain. Think about that coordination. Think about that technology. And a lot of this can be already borrowed and adapted to what we're doing in civilian life, in the technology sector. So that was the first, that don't allow to be in this, just because it's another industry, it doesn't apply. Learn, look at everything, really challenge yourself, everything. It's not a waste of time. You will see, like that's my suggestion. None of this will be waste of time.
We're not reinventing the wheel either if it's already there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then we have Julia, with so many moving parts in clinical logistics, how does Lab Connect stay ahead of issues in real time? Do you see more value coming from better visibility or stronger collaboration with logistic partners?
It's all in collaboration. I think because again, being a lab, we depend on logistics, and in all transparency, 30% of the execution that we do will be in some sort of movement. Some studies are even higher, but on average, if you think 30 to 35%, and it's how we rely on our partners. But again, it's about technology. So we made a very conscious and a very, very deliberate decision to integrate ourselves very closely and continue to deepen integration with our logistics partners. So not only milestone updates, but even deeper, even so every hour data exchange, push into our system, pull from other system, really to give us what we call the eyes and the ears onto what is happening with our samples. So again, don't rely anymore on waiting for someone to send you an Excel sheet with the scheduled delivery updates. By this day and age, you should be able to pull this out of your own system. And that's what those API integrations or Power BI integration or whatever the tools are being used becomes so important. So demand that really from your partners, those bidirectional integrations.
Right. And this one comes from Devendra. He said, your initial jobs were not a matter of chance. They were fraught with risk and uncertainty. You picked them, which others were afraid to do. And then what organizational roadblocks have you faced, which are often unintended consequences of a male-dominated ecosystem?
Um, I mean, look, my first job is by all definitions it was by chance, and my boss's boss at the time was male. But again, I've actually very early on, I understood the value of being different, the value that comes from not being look like everyone else in the room. And that's where, again, I think that's an unintended consequence of male dominated world. So you have in the room, you are in the room with 40 men, you come in as a woman, right? Immediately you have that intention. You are the difference in that room. You can sit and be silent, and do nothing with this, and you allow let's say, the industry to go on with their thing, and that male dominated, or you take charge and say something that makes everyone pause and listen to you. And that's where, again, being better, being more read, being more knowledgeable, more interesting in your perspective coming from. And that's not always going to come from male. A lot of these new ideas will come from female. So leverage that attention that you're inevitably going to have.
Great, that was awesome. That is all the Q&A questions that we have for now, so I'll pass it back to Mary.
Yeah, well, I have kind of one closing question. We named the title of this particular luncheon, You'll Learn for You, I'm in a place I shouldn't be. So you're in this place you shouldn't be after a career from academia. You're in life science now in many different capacities all over the globe. Do you still think you're in a place you shouldn't be?
Uh, it feels better now. I feel a little bit more grounded. Maybe that's the place I should be. But it makes me wonder if I would fall into any other industry, would it be more successful or less successful than I am right now? And that's where, again, when I'm interviewing people right now, I'm being very honest. Sometimes I'm not even reading the resume, because at one point, by the time people get to talk to me, the competency is out of the question, right? You know what you're talking about. I don't have to grill you on the skills where you arguably much better than I am anyway. What is the question I could ask, at the time? What I would really be looking for is for the insatiable desire to learn, to be better, to push yourself into the spaces that you don't think you should be. You don't think you understand anything, but you really want to learn. The desire to learn makes you successful anywhere you go. So am I in a place I shouldn't be? Maybe I should be here. But again, that the learning, I will never lose the desire to learn. Like I was on my first day in market, not knowing anything, even that this industry exists. Imagine I worked in the industry I didn't even know existed.
Quite incredible.
Great. So we actually have one last Q&A question, and this one comes from Dima, and she asks if you're hiring.
Yeah, actually, yes. Yes, thank you for that question. Please check our website, because yes, we are.
There you have it. Oh my gosh. Julia, this has been absolutely amazing. And thank you so much for being an inspiration to us. We will have this recording available to everyone shortly after this webinar. I can't thank Julia enough for your inspiration and your insight. Truly, it's amazing. And it kind of puts me in repositioning my mind frame of, here we are in life science, here we are in technology as as females, we really need to have that voice and don't be afraid to ask the questions and do research and work harder. And that's all an absolute inspiration. Thank you so very much. And it's really, everything you said is really in alignment to what WILS-SCM is about, is just empowering other women and learning from each other. Up on my screen, if you guys can see it, we have additional opportunities. We have, first of all, please feel free to join our group. There's a QR code. Again, this will be available to you. We have a mentorship program. So if you are interested in having a mentor or you would like a mentor, we'll provide that link to you. And if you are willing to be a mentee, we welcome that too. You know, we all have unique skill sets and a lot to offer the next generation of females in the life science industry. And with that, I'd like to close it with save the date. BSMA 2026, our big conference, is coming up in March. It's at the beginning of March. You're going to see a lot more about this. Kristen and I and the WILS leadership team, we're working on a program that will hopefully be beneficial to everyone, not just females. We're thinking of workshops, maybe resume writing. We welcome ideas too of what you would like to learn at the event in a workshop. So save the date, more information on that to come. Again, I'd like to close it with thank you so much, Julia, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with us. And we hope to see you at BSMA 2026 in person.
Thank you. Thank you
Great.
so much. I really enjoyed the discussion. Thank you for giving me the time.
Thank you,
Great.
Julia. It's
Thank
great
you.
to see you.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Thanks.
Like I said, the recording will and the slides will be available.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.